I've been waiting way too long. Yeah, I've been down here trying to get it. Yeah, I've been waiting way too long.
This is Unit 3, Lesson 7, Parallel and Perpendicular Lines. Parallel lines are lines that have the same slope and never intersect. So an example of parallel lines would be y equals 3x minus 2 and y equals 3x plus 8. Those are parallel because they have the same slope, which is 3. If the lines have the same slope and the same y-intercept, then they are lines that coincide. Lines that coincide are lines that are the exact same line, and that's not what parallel is. So parallel lines should have the same slope. Another line that would have the same slope would be something like this. That's in point slope form, but again, the slope is 3, therefore it is parallel, therefore it will never intersect. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect to form a right angle whose slopes are opposite reciprocals. Another way of saying that is that the slopes need to multiply to equal -1. So 2/3, what is the opposite reciprocal of 2/3? Well, first of all, opposite means the different sign. So if that's positive, then my other slope should be negative. Reciprocal is when you flip the numerator and the denominator. So instead of 2/3, it's going to be 3/2. So these are opposite reciprocal slopes. If I multiply these together, I'm going to get -1. I'm going to get -6/6, which is -1. Another example of opposite reciprocal slopes, so if I have a -4, the opposite reciprocal of that is +1/4. Because remember, 4 is 4/1, so if I flip that around, that's 1/4. Don't forget that it's both opposite and reciprocal. A lot of times students, they get one or the other, but they don't apply both. Make sure you apply both. So now we're going to look at this graph, this line, and we're going to look at what a parallel line would be and what a perpendicular line would be. So first of all, we need the equation of this line. So let's just go ahead and write it in slope-intercept form. The slope is 2, y equals 2x. The y-intercept is 4, so y equals 2x plus 4. So let's say that I wanted a line parallel to that line, to the original line, through the point. So I wanted my new line to go through the point 2, -3. So where is 2, -3? 2, -3 is down here. So if I want it to go through that point and be parallel, I know the slope needs to be 2. So I'm going to write it in point slope form. So y plus 3, because again, my y value needs to be -3, the y value of my point that I need it to go through, equals 2 times x minus 2, because the x value it needs to go through is 2. And then I could go ahead and rewrite this in slope-intercept form. Y equals 2x minus 4 minus 3, which would be 2x minus 7. And I could just graph this by going up 2/1. And again, you will see that because they have the same slope, they will never intersect. So there is my parallel line through a specific point. Now I'm going to do a perpendicular line through the same point. So I want it to be perpendicular through the point to -3. So if it's going to be perpendicular, then the slope needs to be the opposite reciprocal. The opposite reciprocal of 2 is -1/2. So again, I'm going to use point slope form. Y plus 3 equals -1/2 times x minus 2. Now I could graph this line from here. How? Well, again, the point 2, -3 is right here. My slope is -1/2, so I need to go down 1/2 or up 1/2 like this. And there would be my perpendicular line. And if you can't tell, that forms a right angle right there. And so that's what perpendicular lines do. They intersect to form a right angle. So the green is perpendicular to the purple, but also to the black, isn't it? Because the black's parallel to the purple. So it would make sense that if one line is perpendicular to two lines that are parallel to each other, then the slope is still the opposite reciprocal of both of those lines. And then again, if you wanted to, you could do y equals -1/2 x plus 1 minus 3 to solve for y. So y equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. And as you can see here, the y-intercept was a negative 2. So parallel lines, lines with the same slope. Perpendicular lines, lines with opposite reciprocal slopes that form a 90-degree angle.
I've been waiting way too long.